Hello, my name is Naomi Atkins, and I'm a career counselor researcher. Before we get started, is there anything you want to know about me or my role as a career counselor researcher?
No, no. I already kind of read up a little bit, so I'm kind of familiar with you, which is why I chose you.
Okay. Um, if you could you tell me a little about yourself?
Like career-wise,
Yes.
well, I started out as a physical therapist assistant, and I went back to physical therapy school, and I've been practicing physical therapy for 37 years. Um, I love it. I love it. But then I recently had a shoulder injury, and I'm not really sure. I'm having a hard time making a decision about going back or not. I'm afraid that if I'm broke, so to speak, I'll hurt somebody. But yet, then I feel worthless if I don't work. So I'm having a real hard time with that. Anything else you need to know?
Um,
I
what
am
type?
I am divorced. I'm the sole income provider.
So you have to work,
Yes,
and you enjoy your work.
I love my work.
Okay. What types of occupations were you aware of growing up?
Um, Not a whole lot. Mostly like teachers and my dad was in business people. Um, I just felt like for a female that something in the medical profession was. That my observation was that those were the gals that seemed to be able to take care of themselves. It was mostly kind of researching, not really being exposed, but kind of researching.
Prior to the physical therapy, what other work experiences did you have, like growing up when you first started working?
Honey, I started when I was 12 years old.
Hey, wow.
I mowed lawns. And then when I turned 16, I worked part-time at where my dad worked. I went after school, just did filing, mostly filing, just secretarial type stuff. And I continued to do that part-time when I was in college both times as well.
And what kind of business did he have?
It was a heavy equipment dealership.
Okay, can you describe what's important in a career for you and then what's not important in a career for you?
What's important to me is feeling like you've made a difference, feeling like you're doing something worthwhile. What is not important to me is making money, either for myself or, in healthcare, it has become very money oriented. Well, if you see them this much longer, we'll get this much more money, and that doesn't appeal to me at all.
Okay, can you describe your culture background and your ethnic background?
Cultural background, I guess, just be typical for my age group. Mom didn't work, stayed-home mom. Dad worked. Um, we lived like middle class. As far as ethnic, we're not really sure. We know that it's European, but we haven't really narrowed it down. And there was no ethnic practices in the family either.
Okay, and what's your religious background or spiritual background?
We were raised in a Protestant First Christian church. Um, and I continue to lean with the Protestant churches. There are several different ones that I like. I like the Christian Disciples. I like some of the Baptist churches.
And what's your family's influence on career?
Um, my dad was by all means successful. However, there was really no question when you finished high school, you went to college. It was never if you went. They both grew up pretty poor, and they felt like an education and the ability to make an income, have an income, were very important. And my mother always said, make sure you can take care of yourself.
What about aunts, uncles?
Uh,
Anybody else have a big influence on you?
my aunt, my dad's youngest sister, she was, well, I think she was divorced a couple times, but she was kind of ahead of her times. She was very much today's single working woman. She was very unusual. She had a nice little house. She always had a nice car. Beautiful clothes. You know, she was very much the independent woman that you see more today. And I always admired that. Wanted to be like her.
So she was someone you looked up to.
Yes. She's also what I've really got my first exposure to physical therapy, because she was diagnosed with MS in her 40s, early 40s. And she got to where she was completely wheelchair bound. She couldn't walk, and she went to the hospital and had therapy. And I remember going to see her and her saying, "Look what I can do." And she walked maybe 10 feet with the walker and was as proud as she could be. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to do that.
So that was your life-changing moment, like
It
what
was.
you
Oh,
wanted to do.
absolutely it was. Absolutely it was. You know, you realize how much you take for granted. Here she could take 10 steps with the walker in her early 40s, and that was like the biggest deal in the world.
Were there any community members that influenced on your career
No.
growing up?
No, nobody.
Did you all move around a lot?
All the time. By the time I was 16, I'd lived in 16 houses. We moved a lot within the area we lived, and then moved out of state several times. So,
Because school was very important to your family.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Because they didn't have that opportunity, so they wanted to. Well, we didn't have a choice; we had to have it.
Were there any challenges and assets to pursuing your career?
Oh my goodness, yes. Very competitive. So you basically had to have straight A's. It was a selection process, and I think it was like 1 in 10 in PT school and about 1 in 20 for the PT assistant school. So it was very competitive. Grades were very important, and I think to some extent your social skills were as well, how you could communicate with the people. Very competitive. I mean, you had to give it your best.
So since having your injury, it's really put you back since you can't work.
Oh yeah, I feel worthless. I mean, at my age, I shouldn't be feeling that way, but I also find it very depressing, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything worthwhile. I'm not contributing, is how I feel. I'm not contributing.
How long have you been off work?
Since the end of May.
Do you have any questions before we end this interview?
Well, I just need to, I need help working through this one way or the other.
We can definitely do that.
And I don't know how. Obviously, I don't know how because I'm not doing well with it. So.